You already know when something feels off. You feel it in your chest before you can explain it with words. Something changed. Maybe you do not know exactly when it happened, but some part of you knows it is real. And here's the truth: many men learn too late. A man who tells everything loses something, not only the respect of other people, he slowly loses respect for himself. Stay with me here, because this is not about games. This is not about manipulation. This is not about acting distant just to seem important. This is about something much deeper. This is about who you are when nobody is watching. This is about the man you are still becoming. And most men never fully understand this. They give away too much too early. Every thought, every plan, every wound, every fear. Then they wonder why people stop seeing them the same way. Today, let that change. And if this kind of message speaks to something real inside you, subscribe now. This channel is for men who are serious about understanding themselves, not performing themselves. Subscribe and let's go deeper. There is a version of you that people respect without needing an explanation. That man does not announce himself. He does not constantly explain his choices. He does not rush to prove who he is. He simply is. And people feel that. They may not always have language for it, but they feel it. They sense the weight in him. They sense the steadiness. They sense that there is something real beneath the surface. That is the man we are moving toward here, not by becoming silent in a cold way, not by turning mystery into a performance, but by knowing yourself deeply enough that you no longer feel the need to reveal everything all the time. The first thing a man must protect is not a piece of information. It is not some hidden fact about his past. It is his inner world. Most men were never taught this. From childhood, many men were trained to explain themselves, to justify what they feel, to defend their choices, to give reasons for everything. And over time, many started believing that sharing everything was the same thing as building closeness. But it is not. Closeness and openness are not the same thing. A man can be deeply connected to someone without handing over every private corner of his mind. In fact, many men damage connection by revealing too much before anything has had time to ripen inside them. Because something important disappears when a man has no private depth left. And that missing thing is not about hiding, it is about depth. Mystery is not pretending to be unreadable. Mystery is what naturally exists when a man still has parts of himself that are growing quietly, parts that are not yet ready to be named. That kind of depth has life in it. A man who has spoken every thought out loud has nothing left to discover. But a man who keeps part of his journey private continues to grow in a way other people can feel, even if they cannot explain it. So the first thing a man must protect is his inner landscape, his quiet thoughts, his reflections, his unfinished questions, his fears that he is learning to face, his doubts that he is working through with honesty. Not because those things are shameful, because they belong to him. They are part of the sacred work of becoming. The second thing a man must protect is his real ambition, not the safe version he shares in conversation, not the smaller version he gives people because he is afraid they will not understand. His real vision, the dream that shows up in the middle of the night when everything is quiet. Too many men talk about their dreams too early. They speak before the roots are formed, and once that happens, the dream becomes exposed. It collects other people's opinions, it absorbs doubt. It gets bent by realism, fear, cynicism, and small thinking. Slowly, the man begins to question what he once felt clearly. He starts wondering if maybe the dream was too big, too unrealistic, too foolish. But this is what he must remember: dreams grow best in silence. A seed does not need constant discussion. It needs soil, it needs time, it needs darkness before it ever breaks through the surface. When a man protects his vision, he is not being secretive in a childish way. He is being responsible with something that matters deeply to him. He is saying, "This means too much for me to expose it before it is strong enough." There is one kind of man who announces every plan before taking a real step. He talks about what he is going to build, what he is going to become, what everyone will soon see. But the talking itself drains the energy. It creates the emotional feeling of progress without the discipline of real progress. Then there is another man. He stays quiet, he works, he builds in the dark. And one day people look up and realize he has become something they never expected. That man earns a different kind of respect. Not because he was trying to seem mysterious, because he was truly building. So protect your ambition. Not forever from everyone, but in the early stages, let it stay close to you. Feed it with action instead of explanation. The third thing a man must protect is his emotional history. And this one matters deeply. Men today are often told to open up more, to speak more, to be more vulnerable, and some of that advice is good. There is strength in truthful openness. But there is a difference between healthy vulnerability and undisciplined emotional exposure. Healthy vulnerability is intentional. It is honest. It is chosen from a place of strength. It deepens connection because it comes from clarity. Undisciplined emotional exposure is different. That happens when a man pours out his entire history because he has not fully faced it, understood it, or carried it himself yet. He hands his pain to someone else because he needs relief. not because true connection is being built. That is not healthy vulnerability. That is emotional overflow. A man who has not done his inner work often tries to use another person to hold what he has not yet learned to hold himself. But understanding your past belongs to you first. Understanding your wounds, your habits, your reactions, your old patterns, your fears, that is your responsibility before it becomes anyone else's burden. That work might happen with a therapist, with a wise mentor, through prayer, reflection, journaling, solitude, or honest personal work. But wherever it happens, it must first happen within you. Because when a man pours out unprocessed pain too early in any relationship, people can feel the difference. They can feel when he is sharing from maturity, and they can feel when he is sharing because he is still bleeding and does not know where else to go. So do the work first. Carry your past with dignity, not by denying it, not by pretending it did not affect you, but by understanding it deeply enough that it no longer controls how you speak, react, trust, and move through the world. That is the man who can speak about hard things calmly, clearly, with steadiness, not because he never suffered, because he faced what he suffered and learned how to carry it. Your emotional history is yours. Respect it enough to understand it before you offer it to the world. The fourth thing a man must protect is his financial reality. Not because money should be shameful, not because a man should be secretive about everything, but because his relationship with money reveals some of the deepest things about him. It reveals discipline, it reveals fear, it reveals priorities, it reveals values, it reveals how he thinks about tomorrow. Some men talk about money because they want to impress people. They use numbers and plans and talk of success to create an image. Other men talk about money because they feel insecure and want to explain themselves before anyone can judge them. Neither man is standing on solid ground. A grounded man does not need to perform wealth, and he does not need to apologize for where he is. He does not narrate every move. He does not use money to prove worth. He simply builds, quietly, consistently. Over time, his financial life speaks through his habits, through what he buys and what he refuses to buy, through what he invests in and what he avoids, through how he uses time, through the kind of discipline he keeps when nobody is praising him. That kind of financial maturity does not need a speech. It reveals itself, so keep your financial world close. Not as a trick, not as a weapon, but as protected ground where discipline and ambition can grow without being disturbed by image making. The fifth thing a man must protect is the most personal of all, his purpose. The reason he is here, the thing that remains when you strip away title, role, relationship status, and all the labels people give you. Many men never sit with this question long enough to answer it honestly. And the men who do find that the answer is often fragile at first. Purpose usually cannot be spoken clearly before it is lived. It has to be tested. It has to survive failure. It has to keep calling you back even when you are tired, discouraged, unseen, or uncertain. When a man knows his purpose, he moves differently. He makes decisions with more clarity. He becomes less reactive. He becomes less controlled by noise. Why? Because he has an inner compass. But that compass is not found through endless talking. It is found through living, through choosing the harder path again and again, through returning to meaningful work when nobody is clapping, through noticing what makes you feel alive and what leaves you hollow. Purpose grows in quiet places, and when a man speaks about purpose too early, before he has lived it enough to trust it, he becomes vulnerable to the wrong kind of influence. Someone questions him and the question lands too deeply. Someone doubts him and the doubt shakes what was not yet rooted. So protect your purpose. Protect it the way a builder protects a new foundation. You do not place heavy weight on something before it is ready to carry weight. You give it time, you give it silence, you give it action. And one day when it is strong enough, it will no longer need your defense. It will speak for itself. Now look at what all five of these things have in common. Your inner world, your ambition, your emotional history, your financial reality, your purpose. All of them belong to the interior life of a man. And the interior life of a man is one of the most powerful things about him. We live in a world that constantly rewards expression. It celebrates constant sharing, constant announcing, constant revealing. And there is a place for expression. There is value in language. There is value in honest communication. But there is also a cost when nothing remains private. If a man has no interior life left, if everything has been spoken, if every plan has been announced, if every feeling has been processed out loud, then what remains that is truly his? What does he still possess inwardly? The man who keeps part of his life sacred continues to surprise people, not because he is trying to appear mysterious, because there is genuinely more to him than what has been revealed, and that quality is powerful. The sense that a man has deeper roots than what is visible, that cannot be performed, it can only be grown. It grows when a man reads things that stretch him, when he thinks deeply instead of repeating what everyone else says, when he sits with himself long enough to discover what he truly believes, when he has experiences that test him. When he disagrees with popular opinion not to seem rebellious, but because he has thought clearly and landed somewhere real. That is grounding. Not loudness, not rigidity, not performance. Grounding. A grounded man is like a tree with deep roots. The wind can move the branches, but the roots remain. He can hear criticism without collapsing. He can receive praise without becoming inflated. He can stay steady because his identity is not built on the changing reactions of other people. He knows himself well enough to separate truth from noise. And now I want to speak directly to the man who knows he has been giving too much away. The man who constantly explains himself. The man who keeps hoping that if he shares enough, people will finally understand him, approve of him, stay with him, or see his value. Hear this clearly. People cannot understand you more deeply than you understand yourself. If you do not yet know who you are, no amount of explaining will solve that. You cannot explain clearly what you have not yet discovered. And discovering yourself is not mainly a talking process, it is a living process. You find yourself in choices, in discipline, in sacrifice, in what you endure, in what you say no to, in what values you return to even when the cost is real. In the private moments when you are fully honest with yourself about what you are doing and why. Identity is not found in conversation alone, it is built through life. And the man who understands this stops begging the outside world to confirm him. He begins building the inside of himself so strongly that whatever comes, he can stand. Because life will keep moving. Seasons change, relationships shift, opportunities appear and disappear, health changes, plans fail, people leave, circumstances turn, and through all of it, the one thing that matters most is who you are while everything else moves. The man with a true foundation does not fall apart every time life changes. He bends, he adjusts, he learns, he reassesses, but he does not crumble. Because what holds him up is not circumstance, it is choice, and choice is available to you every single day. You do not need to become somebody fake. You do not need to invent a persona. You need to start protecting the man you already are at your deepest level. The version of you that has vision, the version of you that has discipline, the version of you that has something worth building. That version does not need to be advertised. He needs to be lived. He needs to be strengthened by daily actions that match the man you are deciding to become. Not for applause, not for approval, for yourself. Because when everything else changes, the one relationship that remains through every season of your life is the relationship you have with yourself. And if that relationship is built on honesty, discipline, self-respect, and growth, then everything else in your life finally has something solid to rest on. So build that, protect that, return to that every single day. That is the work. That is the real secret. Not only what you keep from others, but what you keep for yourself, what you protect long enough to grow in silence. What you strengthen until the day it no longer needs explanation. And if this message reached something inside you, subscribe now. This channel is for men who are serious about the real work, not the image, not the performance, the quiet, consistent work of becoming someone worth being. Subscribe, come back, and keep bringing the man you are building into every message that follows, because there is more ahead and you are ready for it.